Now we're ready to tackle some multi-step arithmetic problems by first reviewing the order of operations. There are different ways to memorize this order of operations. Some people just remember the phrase PEMDAS, or there's the acronym Please Excuse My Dear Aunt Sally, or other techniques for memorizing this. But we do need to commit that to memory. And what this tells us is the order of operations for evaluating a problem is to start off with P parentheses. So we first look at any expression inside parentheses and simplify or evaluate that. Then we look at exponents. Then we look at multiplication and division. But the catch here is that multiplication and division happen at the same time from left to right. That is, we don't take care of all of the multiplication and then go back and do the division. Multiplication and division are simultaneous from left to right. And then similarly, addition and subtraction happen from left to right simultaneously. That means in example 12, part A, where we have 5 minus 2 times the quantity 2 plus 4, so times that expression in parentheses, 2 plus 4. To evaluate this, the first thing that we'll do is evaluate that expression inside the parentheses. 2 plus 4 will give us 6. And then anytime we have a number next to a set of parentheses, in part A we have that multiplication dot in there. The way that I wrote this line, I didn't include that, but that multiplication is assumed anytime we have a number next to a set of parentheses. So whether I put that multiplication dot in there or not, that represents 2 times 6, meaning our next step will be to take care of the multiplication step. So we'll get 5 minus 2 times 6, which is 12. And then our last step will be the subtraction step, which is 5 minus 12, or negative 7. With each new problem, then, we'll just walk through that order of operations. In part B, we have 5 plus 1 times negative 1 minus 2. Order of operations tells us to take care of everything inside of parentheses first. So our first step will be to evaluate 5 plus 1, which is 6. And then we'll evaluate what's in the other set of parentheses, negative 1 minus 2, which will give us negative 3. Again, we can either include that multiplication dot that was there originally, or skip it because the parentheses imply that these two numbers are being multiplied together. So it's just up to you what you're comfortable with. You can include that there, but recognize that if that dot wasn't there, this would still mean that we're multiplying two values together. And what we're doing is multiplying a positive number times a negative number, meaning our result will be negative, and it will be negative whatever 6 times 3 is, so negative 18. In each of these cases, we haven't had any exponents to evaluate, so we've been going from parentheses to multiplication and division to addition and subtraction. But in a few steps here, we'll see a case where we have some exponents mixed in there. In example C, or part C, we have negative 5 times this expression negative 4 plus 1 in between a pair of vertical bars. Those vertical bars are absolute value bars, meaning we take anything that's inside those, and once we evaluate it down to a single number, make that positive. And we treat them like parentheses in terms of the order of operations. So the absolute value bars, like parentheses, mean we first evaluate what's ever inside those bars. In this case, that would be negative 4 plus 1, or negative 3. We have an extra step here because we do need to actually evaluate the absolute value of -3. So this will become -5 times +3, because the absolute value bars take that number inside them and make it positive, as long as we first evaluate that expression. So we do the addition step and then evaluate the absolute value. And now our last step will be to multiply a negative number times a positive number. So our result will again be a negative number, and it will be 5 times 3, which is 15, so -15. In part D, we again have a set of parentheses, so we'll start there. 3 plus 1 will be 4. We have no exponents. The next step is multiplication and division, which happens from left to right across the problem. So the first thing that we'll do is multiply 2 times 4 to get 8. And then we'll divide by -1. We have a positive number divided by a negative number. So our result will end up being -8. Now in parts E and F, we have exponents mixed in. So a step we haven't had to take care of so far. We'll start evaluating as we go in this process. In part E, we have -3 plus the quantity -5 minus 2. That expression inside parentheses raised to the second power. Order of operations tells us that first we evaluate what's inside those parentheses, which is -5 minus 2, or -7. Now the step that we've skipped each time before because there were no exponents is exponents. So parentheses first, then exponents. This will be -3 plus, if we want to write it out as a reminder, -7 squared means we're going to take -7 times -7, which is a negative number times a negative number. So we'll end up with -3 plus, since those two negatives will cancel each other out, 49. Now we take care of the addition step, where we get -3 plus 49 will be equal to 46. And then in our last example that we'll look at, we have -16 divided by -4 minus 5 divided by 1. That will be our first step since that's what's in parentheses. 5 divided by 1 will just be 5 squared. So this will give us -16 divided by -4 minus 25. So we took care of the parentheses, then the exponent. Now we look for any multiplication and division steps. We have -16 divided by -4, meaning we have a negative divided by a negative. So this will end up being positive 16 divided by 4, or positive 4, minus 25, and then we take care of that subtraction step to get -21, or -21.